I'm not a professional athlete. You know, I work for a living, I have a job and a career and a mortgage and a house and a wife and a kid and all of that. And I want to provide this incredible amount of stability for my family. You know, my family in a happy house with, you know, a little garden and a bunch of kids running around. But at the same time, I have this addiction to sort of pushing the limit all the time. I've never used cocaine, I've never given birth. But these experiences, I think, are like that, where every day is like the day that you experience the birth of your first child and then your child dies in your hands. Every day is so vivid and so colorful and so emotional. To live in those experiences, it's a powerful thing. It is, it's an addiction.
Charlie Wittmack craves the rush that comes with pushing the limits of the human body. As a teenager, Charlie participated in a cross-country bike ride, and in 2003, he climbed Mount Everest. Then last year, the 5'7", 145-pound lawyer took his obsession to the extreme.
I started thinking, you know, what could be the world's toughest triathlon? And I thought, well, if you could combine the English Channel with Mount Everest and somehow connect the two, maybe that would be it.
He would call his quest the World Triathalon.
First told me about it, though, I sort of thought, like, oh, that is just ridiculous. Yeah, but then I realized he was serious.
I think what matters to Katie most is the stability and the birthday parties and the backyard barbecues.
I said, you know, honestly, how in the world? It's just not even possible. So it's just, this isn't the time. You can't do it.
And she just thought that it was the most irresponsible thing, you know, a father could do.
In January of 2009, I found out that I had cancer. That experience really changed my perception on a lot of things in my life. This is the time. If we're gonna do something like this, if he's gonna do something like this, let's do it.
The Thames isn't like most rivers. It doesn't start in a lake or with spring. It just starts with a drip, and the drips pile up, and sooner or later, hopefully, you have enough to swim in.
It's July 2010. In a tiny town in rural England, Charlie Wittmack's pursuit of the improbable has begun.
This is going to be a memorable day of swimming, that's for sure.
We think he's mad.
Go, Charlie. Perfect day, one day down. About 330 days to go. That's how you do it.
Do you want to drop a scotch in it? Or...
No.
Cheers.
Hard day so far. Lost a toenail. About mile 3 I threw up in the water. There's something going on, it's not sitting very well today.
In the Thames, Charlie battles everything from boats to water hazards to amoebic dysentery.
Started at midnight, maybe vomiting all night long. All right. Just one after the next and diarrhea. And it's a little too early for a setback.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
There's one pole out there in the middle, and I just drilled it full speed. Mentally very weak today.
Been a little bit nervous. It's a different river down here. Long ways from Cricklade.
By early August, Charlie reaches the English Channel. It was here, during a crossing attempt in 2008, where he suffered severe hypothermia.
It's hard mentally today, you know, it's hard. I didn't realize how emotional I'd be. Last time I swam this, I almost died. You have to just try to get in kind of a zen-like state. Just think about one stroke at a time. You can't think about trying to get to France or you'll fail.
Bye.
For 12 hours, Kate looks on from the support boat.
I knew we were close, and I knew he was suffering.
You know, she had just been right there at the reel, you know, just as close to me as she could be without jumping in and swimming with me.
And all I just kept thinking was looking back at how far he'd come.
It was like all my strength was coming from her just sitting right there.
I know he can do this, but does he know he can do this?
I look over and all of a sudden Katie is just sobbing.
I cannot believe he's almost there.
That first sensation of your fingertips just scraping the sand, and I stood up in the sand, and I heard the horn from the boat, and that indicates it's the end of the swim. They stop the clock. You know, somehow I had done it. I'd landed exactly at the point that I needed to land so I could start the bike ride.
Though he had successfully crossed the channel, Charlie's drama had just begun. He cycled across 7 countries and more than 6,000 miles when, on October 11th, on the M32 highway in Kazakhstan, he is hit by a car.
My helmet hit the back rear passenger door and cracked, and then I sort of slid down the highway. I couldn't understand after that, and I still don't, how I survived that crash.
A month after the accident, Charlie reaches the Himalayas. But after climbing an 18,500-foot pass too quickly, he suffers both a pulmonary and cerebral edema. His lungs and brain are drowning in fluid.
You know, I'm alone in this lodge at 18,500 feet in the Tibetan Plateau, and I was just, you know, I was just dying. I was just dying. You can just sort of feel the life just sort of draining out of your body. I called Katie. She was just telling me about this backyard barbecue. You know, it's like the simplest thing, a backyard barbecue. You know, you're there and you don't care, but all of a sudden you're half a world away and you feel like you may never get back there again. I guess in a lot of ways it was the first time I realized that I really wasn't actually willing to die for this event.
Charlie returns home to seek medical attention and join his family for Christmas. After doctors give the okay, he heads back to Nepal to continue the bike ride. It isn't easy. He's mobbed every time he pulls into a small village. People throw rocks and glass bottles at him. And back at home, James is sick with severe croup. Standing on the border between Nepal and India, the man who said he would die before he quit makes a shocking decision. The World Triathalon is over.
I wrote a letter explaining why I decided to end the expedition. And then I slept on that for 24 hours, and then I sent it out to my family. I hadn't even really hit send, and I got a phone call from Katie. She just thought it was hilarious. And she says to me, she says, "Are you having a mental breakdown?" And I said, "No, you know, I think I'm finally finding my path."
I really did think that it would be something he would regret for the rest of his life if he didn't give himself at least the shot.
She said, "Just relax." She said, "You're always beating yourself up. You're always trying to make life so hard on yourself. Like, just stop and enjoy it. You know, go to Everest, that's what you do, and don't be afraid to have fun." The times that I excel are the times when I guess when I failed. To get this far, the failures are what make you grow more than the successes.
On April 11th, Charlie reaches Everest Base Camp with 2 goals: climb quick and climb safe.
1 year down, 3 days to go. All right, well, here goes nothing, right?
See ya. Early in the morning of May 6th, Charlie wakes up at Camp 4 and decides to push for the summit.
I sort of looked around and conditions seemed perfect, and I decided to go for it. At that point, I was climbing alone. I knew I had a very small margin for error. If there was even a hint of any problems, you know, I was going to have to pull the plug and turn around. I wasn't willing to die on the climb. But as I neared the summit, I knew it was just perfect. I knew it was going to be the perfect day.
310 days after starting his journey, Charlie Wittmack reaches the highest point on Earth.
You know, to be up there with this clear sky, you just sort of look out over the Earth and all of its mass, and it's a pretty humbling moment. You know, I'd had my iPhone, and the homepage screen is a picture of my son James. And so I had, you know, looked at this picture, and it's just this moment of sort of, you know, his whole life has changed. And I missed that year. And so that's a year I'm not going to be able to get back. And so I guess reaching the summit, there was this feeling of fulfillment, but that feeling of fulfillment was, I guess, checked by almost that feeling of futility.
It's been difficult. I got a taste of what it's like to be a single parent. I'm just wondering at every day if my life is going to change for the better or the worse. Surprise!
I guess what I realized is the most important thing in my life was not being a successful explorer, adventurer, or adding a page to the history books. It was just being a good dad. If I had died, that would have been the failure.
But to know Charlie Wittmack is to know the obsession will never go away. He can't help it. Charlie and Kate are expecting their second child in February of 2012. But already the conversation has turned to what's next. And Charlie's still haunted by the fact that he didn't complete every single mile of his dream.
I mean, the regret I'll always have is how I could have been better prepared. It's just the perfect line, you know? I still dream of the perfect line.